Welcome back children again for properties of perfect squares. In yesterday's session we did some of the properties. The first one was, let's revise. The first property was the numbers ending with 2, 3, 7 and 8 are never perfect squares. The second one was the square of an even number is always even. Third property that we did was square of an odd number is always an odd number. And the fourth one that we did, what was that? The fourth property that we did was square of a proper fraction is always less than the fraction. In continuation, we have another property, that is property 5. According to this property, sum of odd natural numbers, sum of n odd natural numbers can be written as n square. Why so? Let's have an example. Say you have for one natural number, that is 1 to 1 square. 1 is equals to 1 square, that is 1. Single odd natural number. Say if we take two odd natural numbers 1 and 3, they are two odd natural numbers. So their sum would be 2 square, that is 4. Isn't it? Let's take another example of 3 odd natural numbers. But children, remember one thing. Every time you have to begin with 1, the first odd natural number. So let's have another example. 1 plus 3 plus 5. Here I have taken 3 odd natural numbers. So then sum would be 3 square, that is 9. In the same way, if we take n odd natural numbers beginning from 1 and try to find their sum, then it would be n square. It would be n square. And we can use this property vice versa as well. How can you use it vice versa? Say you are given a question where you are given 81. You have to find without any calculation that 81 is the sum of how many odd natural numbers. Children, it's very simple. 81 is the square of 9. So 81 is the sum of 9 odd natural numbers. No problem. If anyone says 144, how many odd natural numbers are added over there? 144 is the square of 12, isn't it? So 144 is the sum of 12 odd natural numbers. So this property can be used in both the ways. Coming towards the next property, we have for any natural number n. Children, are you familiar with consecutive number? I am sure everyone is familiar with consecutive numbers. Consecutive numbers are the numbers which come one after another. So what will be the consecutive number of n? That is obviously n plus 1. So here for perfect squares, one property holds that for any natural number n plus 1 whole square minus n square, it is equals to 2n plus 1. 2n plus 1. But make sure these two should be consecutive numbers. These two should be consecutive number. For example, let's take one example. Suppose we have to find 26 square minus 25 square. What it would be? It would be simply, your n is the smaller number, that is 25. So what you do, 2 into 25 plus 1. It becomes 2 into 25 is 50. 50 plus 1 is 51. Let's take another example. Say example 2. Suppose we have to find 101 square minus 100 square. What we will do? N is your smaller number. So according to property, what we will do? 2 into 100 plus 1. That is 200 plus 1. That answer is 201. Likewise, you can find, but make sure children, when you apply this property, the two numbers that you are taking, they should be consecutive numbers. Otherwise, this property doesn't hold. Now coming to the most important property of perfect squares, that is Pythagorean triplet. If you look at this first term, you will definitely come to know you are not unaware of this name, because in properties of triangle of class 7 you have done Pythagoras theorem. This term has originated from there only, and we have included it in properties of perfect squares as well. So for this property, Pythagorean triplet, for any natural number m greater than 1, m greater than 1, the Pythagorean triplet can be written as m square minus 1, 2m and m square plus 1. This is the Pythagorean triplet. Children, see again the most important property of perfect squares, Pythagorean triplet. For any natural number m greater than 1, the Pythagorean triplet can be written as m square minus 1, 2m, m square plus 1. Just now you have done that for any natural number m greater than 1, the Pythagorean triplet can be written as m square minus 1, comma 2m and m square plus 1. These three together form a triplet, Pythagorean triplet. Let's take an example. Write a Pythagorean triplet whose smallest member is 8. Whose smallest member is 8. Children, we have two ways to do the same questions. Again, it's up to your choice how you will do. But I'll show you the working of both. Let us take m square minus 1 is equals to 8. I have taken. So m square is equals to 8 plus 1. M square is equals to 9. And so the value of m is square root of 9. That is, square root is a new term for you because you have not studied. So you think of a number which when multiplied to itself gives you 9. So 3 3s are 9. So square root of 9 is 3. So value of m is 3. Value of m is 3. Now what would be 2m, another member? 2 into 3, that is 6. And what would be m square plus 1, children? That is 3 square plus 1. Children, first we will square the 3, then add 1. Isn't it? Don't do that 3 plus 1, 4, then 4 square. No, it is not. It is first the square of 3, that is 9, plus 1, 10. Therefore, Pythagorean triplet whose smallest member is 8 is what we have got? 6, 8, 10. So we cannot say 8 is the smallest number because we have got a number lesser than 8, that is 6. So Pythagorean triplet is 6, 8 and 10. The another way to attempt the same question where we are given find the Pythagorean triplet whose smallest member is 8. Children, what we do? We consider the smallest member as 2m is equals to 8. So m is equals to 4. How could 4? 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now another member is m square minus 1. So 4 square minus 1. Square of 4 is 16 minus 1. How much it is, children? 15. Clear? And the third member is m square plus 1. It is 4 square plus 1 is equals to 16 plus 1, that is 17. Now you can easily check whether 8, 15 and 17 together form a Pythagorean triplet or not. You can check. This is the triplet that we have obtained. Fine. Now we have to check whether it is a Pythagorean triplet or not. If it is a Pythagorean triplet, children, it will definitely satisfy Pythagoras theorem. So, according to Pythagoras theorem, the square of the largest number should be equal to the sum of the square of other two. Whereas in geometry we have studied square of hypotenuse is equals to the sum of squares of other two sides in a right triangle. But as we are doing here in algebra, so we take square of largest number. So among these three, the largest one is 17. Square of 17 is 289. We keep it aside. Now we find the sum of squares of 8 and 15. Square of 8 is 64 and square of 15 is 225. Children, again I am reminding you, don't commit the same mistake that you add first 8 and 15 and then square 23. No, first we will square the numbers and then we will add. So when we will add, we get 289. From this you can easily see the square of greatest number is 289 and the sum of square of other two numbers is also 89. Therefore we can say 8, 15 and 17 form a Pythagorean triplet. These are the properties of perfect squares. Children, if you have any query related to any property, you can put it or message me in comment box. Please like and subscribe and don't forget to touch the bell icon. Thank you.